Hi, are you looking for more money in life, maybe more choices, more freedom, or to grow your property portfolio? Well, today's show's for you because I'm going to share 15 common wealth myths that hold people back. Because once you know them, once you understand them, you're going to be able to move forward in leaps and bounds.
Are you interested in property investing, success or money? Well, you're in the right place. This is the Michael Yardney podcast, where each week you'll learn a number of new ideas regarding success, property investment and money in 20 minutes or less. Our show is brought to you by Metropole, who specialise in helping you grow, protect and pass on your wealth through strategic property advice. Now here's your host, Michael Yardney, who has once again been voted Australia's leading property investment advisor. That's the fourth time he's won a similar award in the last 6 years.
Money doesn't discriminate. It doesn't care who you are or where you came from. So no matter what you did yesterday, today begins anew and you've got the same rights and the same opportunities as everybody else to become wealthy. Yet the sad reality is that the majority of Australians will never achieve financial freedom. On the other hand, a small group of Australian property investors are becoming very wealthy. So welcome to this week's show. And today I want to explore some of the common myths about money that hold the average Australian back. Stop people achieving financial freedom. Because if you understand these and if you do things differently to the average person, then you've got a great chance to become financially free. Now, you've probably come to my show to hear about property investment, but I also talk about success and money and the psychology of success. So today's show is a little bit different. It's really not about property or where to invest or how to invest. It's a bit of a chat about the things that people have said to me over the years as I've spoken with them and as I've mentored them, the false beliefs they've had, the myths they've had about money that are holding them back. So as we go through these 15 myths, why don't you see how this relates to you and maybe how you could think differently or do things differently so that you could become financially independent? Okay, let's start with the first one. And the first common one people seem to say is it takes money to make money. And despite what some people believe, it doesn't really take a lot of money to make money. Look, many Australians have got untapped equity in their home that they can use as seed capital for investments, while others are just going to have to learn the discipline to save and get some startup capital. Then all they need to do is invest in high growth investments, and I prefer residential real estate, and then use the magic of compounding leverage and time to grow their asset base. So you don't really need a fortune to make your first million, you just need to commit to making a start and then sticking to it. But many other people come to me with, I guess, the next myth, and they say, but Michael, I don't make enough money. Now, the truth is almost everybody makes enough money to become an investor, but the unfortunate truth is that most people don't have an income problem. They have a spending problem. Why don't you look at your current wages and ask yourself, how much am I likely to earn over my lifetime? It's probably going to shock you. For most of us, it's going to be quite a few $1 million. I mean, if it's $50,000 a year you earn, and most people earn considerably more than that, over a 40-year lifespan, that's $2 million you're going to earn. So you're probably going to earn a lot more than that. But the problem is that most of us spend as much as we earn. We're earning more this year than we did 5 years ago, but yet the money still doesn't last through the month. So you've got to start living within your means, paying yourself first. Put aside 10 to 20% of your money, just like the tax man takes a portion of your money, put some of it aside in a savings account to save up, to get that seed capital to get going. Save for your deposit and break out of your current financial paradigms. Okay, some people say to me that this is another myth, I guess. Look, my job, my superannuation, that's going to take care of my financial future. Well, if you accept my definition of financial freedom, and that would be to have enough passive income to finance the lifestyle you desire without having to work, you're never going to achieve that through your job or through the superannuation. Who knows what pension, if any, is going to be around as many of us get older. What you've got to do instead is take control of your financial future by investing, by building your own asset base, not by becoming dependent upon your boss or the government. So if you try and save, 5 to 10% of your income as many financial planners suggest, you're going to find you're just not going to have a big enough nest egg to fund your retirement. Most financial planners say put something aside, you put money in your super, and then you're going to have a nest egg and you slowly eat it away. Well, the way it works nowadays is we're living longer, and if you start to eat away your nest egg and hope you don't outlive it, that's not a nice way to go. You can't save your way to wealth. The answer is you've got to invest. Another myth, though, some people come up with is, oh, look, Michael, I'm not smart enough. That's not right. In our country, everybody's got the ability and the opportunity to become rich. We're so lucky that we live in the country that we do. Successful people that I've come across come from all different backgrounds. Some have got university degrees, and others have never finished high school. To reassure yourself that education doesn't equal a financial fortune, let's just look at a couple of multimillionaires who never graduated from college. Bill Gates, the founder of Microsoft, didn't. Michael Dell from Dell Computer didn't. The late Steve Jobs, who founded Apple, didn't ever graduate from university. The truth is, you can do whatever you want. Not being smart enough is just another excuse. Okay, another myth, another excuse some people use is investing is complicated. Now, developing your own financial freedom is only as complicated as you want to make it. Sure, gaining the knowledge to become financially independent is challenging, but most new things seem difficult until you develop an understanding of them, and investing is no different. Today, it's easier than ever before to learn the fundamentals of wealth. You've got podcasts like this, you've got books, you've got blogs, you've got all the information on the internet. I guess the big problem today is understanding who to listen to, who to learn from. So the key is to learn from the right people, those who've already achieved what you want to achieve. Now, this is also hard to work out today because the internet can make some people look very smart. Only a little while ago, I was looking through some old magazines, old Australian property investor magazines. That went broke a year or two ago, but I've still got back copies from the early 2000s. It's fascinating to see the various gurus who've come and gone, and very few of them last. So be careful who you listen to, because there's people out there looking to take your money. Another myth, the sixth myth I want to quickly discuss with you, is investing is risky. The dictionary definition of to invest is to commit money or capital in order to gain a financial return. The word risk doesn't even get a look in. However, many people speculate while they think they're investing. They buy in a secondary location, or they buy off the plan hoping it's going to go well, or they look for the next hotspot. That's speculating. On the other hand, finding a property with an element of scarcity, so it's always going to be in strong demand, in an area that's going to outperform the long-term averages because of the demographics there, and buying it below its intrinsic value. Now, that's a proven investment strategy that minimises your risk. The seventh myth I'd like to share with you is you have to know how to time your investment markets. Look, I understand why people say that to me. It's often said that timing's everything when investing, but if you've been listening to my podcast, you'll know that's not really the case. Sure, timing matters. You don't want to buy a property near the peak of the boom, but successful investors find that timing isn't really that important. I don't know, have you noticed how some investors do well in good times and do just as well in bad times, while others do poorly in good times and even worse in bad times? The truth is, successful investors know how to create wealth at any point in the property cycle, while unsuccessful investors manage to lose money at the same stages of the property cycle. This suggests to me that it's not your external world that determines how you make money. It's something inside of us. It's your mindset. And that's why a lot of the sessions in this podcast and in my blogs are related to mindset. Now, we're coming up to the break, but after the break, I'm going to share with you another 8 wealth myths that tend to hold back ordinary Australians from reaching financial freedom. But the good news is, as you become aware of these myths, you can do things differently. You can choose to change your beliefs. You can produce outrageous results. You can reach your financial goals if you invest wisely in the right type of property.
Are you wondering who you can turn to for independent and unbiased advice? Metropole has helped beginning investors buy their first property, experienced investors add to their portfolio, and sophisticated investors manufacture capital growth by becoming property developers. The team at Metropole Property Strategists have been involved in over $2 billion worth of property transactions, creating wealth for their clients, and they can do the same for you. It's a great feeling having the independent team at Metropole helping you formulate and implement your wealth-building property investment strategy. Arrange a time for an obligation-free chat at metropole.com.au.
Well, before the break, I explained how, despite us living in a land of plenty, the sad reality is the majority of Australians will never reach financial freedom. And as I explained, on the other hand, there is still a group of Australian property investors who become very, very wealthy. So let's continue with the common money myths that hold people back from achieving their financial goals. The 8th myth I'd like to share with you is that the rich are lucky. The truth is that success in wealth creation is no more about luck than success in anything else in life. To become wealthy, you've got to be in control of your finances and not count on good fortune. When you've got a proven investment system or strategy, luck becomes unnecessary. Now, as a child, I used to play Monopoly. Sometimes I won, sometimes I lost. As an adult, I've played Monopoly a couple of times with some actually very financially intelligent people. And I realise now that contrary to what I thought when I was young, Monopoly's not a game of luck. Good players know the right spots on the board to get the best return on their investments. They know how to acquire and control the best monopolies in order to collect the highest rent. They've learned to negotiate and find ways to make great deals. They've learned how to take the luck out of Monopoly and consistently win as a result of that. Now, to me, that sounds a whole lot like the real world of investing, doesn't it? You need to learn how to take the luck out of wealth creation and instead develop smart investment strategies to get ahead. First, you need to know how to play the game, and then you need to know how to win the game. I hope I'm helping you by discussing these sort of concepts with you in my podcast and in my blogs and in my books. The 9th myth that holds many Australians back from financial freedom is to become rich, you must diversify. Wrong! But that's what most financial planners suggest, isn't it? But in my mind, diversification leads to an average outcome. I found that successful investors don't diversify. They cultivate the skills required to make better, smarter investment decisions, and then they specialise. They specialise in one niche. Now, it's not just me who thinks that. Warren Buffett said wide diversification is only required when investors don't understand what they're doing. That's true. Robert Kiyosaki said many financial advisors recommend that you diversify for your own protection. What they fail to tell you is that it's also for their protection. Kiyosaki says, since most financial advisors can't tell you exactly what stock or mutual fund to invest in, what's going to be a great investment, they tell you to buy a bunch of them. So my point is, successful investors put all their eggs in one basket and look after that basket very, very carefully. The 10th myth I'd like to share with you is paying off your house provides good security. Now, it was in the old days. Your parents probably taught you what my parents told me: get a good education, get a good job, buy a house, pay it off, and that'll give you security. And that's the maximum investment that most Australians ever have. They have a house and they've paid it off, but that's not going to give them the financial freedom they want. It's just one of the old myths. It doesn't make sense today in the new financial era. The problem is that once you paid off your house, you end up with idle equity in your house, and equity that you could have probably used as a deposit to do something else, and you've probably got an old house as well. The 11th myth I'd like to share with you today is that all the good investments are taken. People say it's too late now. Oh, they're all gone. No, it's not true. Opportunities are always out there in every market. Sometimes there's lots, sometimes there aren't. Some are obvious, and others are ones that you've got to create by understanding the market. Sure, all of yesterday's deals are taken, but tomorrow's deals haven't been. Someone's going to snap them up, so why shouldn't it be you? The 12th myth I want to share with you is that people say, if you want to do it right, you have to do it yourself. The myth is that you've got to be in control? Now, the answer is you do have to be in control, but there's no such thing as a self-made millionaire. All the successful property investors that I know have got a good team around them, professional advisors, property strategists, and they've got supportive mentors around them. Now, that doesn't mean you hand over full responsibility for your wealth creation. You don't. But the rich do recognise that you can't be an expert in all areas of wealth creation, so they find a team of experts that can help them achieve their goals. And that's partly what the team at Metropole does, and as a mentor, that's what I do in my mentorship program. The 13th myth I hear people say is, "Oh, look, I've done everything wrong, it's just too late." And my answer to them is it's never too late to learn how to invest or to overcome your mistakes. There are many success stories of people who had all sorts of adversities, who started investing late, who started business late, and yet achieved financial freedom. I watched a short while ago the movie about Ray Kroc. Actually, that was an interesting movie, and he wasn't a particularly nice person, but it did show how, over the age of 50, I can't remember how old he was now, he built the very first fast food outlet, McDonald's. Or there's the story of Colonel Sanders, who started his business very, very late as well. Now, I'm not sure what this has got to do with fast food businesses and starting business late, but there are a couple of examples that just sort of came to mind. Another myth that holds a lot of Australians back is debt is bad. Now, you've probably been taught that by your parents as well. And they were sort of half right, because bad debt is bad, but most Australians believe debt's a dirty word because they don't understand the concept that there's good debt, which is used for buying appreciating assets, necessary debt to buy your home, and bad debt, which is, against depreciating assets. So don't go off and use your credit card to buy things that you don't really need to impress people who don't really care. You don't get yourself into bad debt. The 15th myth, the last one I'd like to share with you, is, I guess, that comment that some people make to me, doesn't matter what I try, doesn't matter what I want, I just can't do it. Now, subscribing to this myth is almost a guarantee of failure because our beliefs and our perceptions become our reality. I guess that's one of the common themes I discuss with you in my mindset moment. Some people who've had a few failed attempts learn that wealth is beyond their control, and they believe they can't affect the outcome. And they remain victims all their lives. And this is one of the reasons the rich keep getting richer, because they believe they're in control of their destiny. They believe they're the pilots of their life, not the passenger. So you've got to believe you're in control, act as if you're in control, then pretty soon you're going to be surprised with the results you achieve. Invariably, the more success you have, the more positive thoughts you're going to have, and guess what? You're going to do more and more positive things. So this has been a longish session today, but I hope you understand that money has no way of knowing who's in control. It doesn't know what your qualifications are, what your ambitions are, what you're going to do with it. Money's just there to be used, to be spent, to be saved, to be invested. It can't judge whether you're worthy or not. So now that you understand some of these myths that have held other people back, the good news is you can do things differently. My suggestion is you should choose to change your beliefs to produce outrageous results and reach the goals that you've set yourself. Now, of course, while property investing is simple, it's not easy. And that's not a play on words. The fact is around 20% of those who get involved in property sell up in the first year. About half of them sell up in the first 5 years. So most property investors, half of them give up in the first 5 years. And of those investors who stay in property, about 90% never get past their second property. So if you're wanting financial freedom through property investment, to fund your dreams, to fund your lifestyle, you're going to have to do things differently to most property investors. You're going to have to listen to different people who most property investors listen to. You're not going to have to believe those wealth myths. You're going to have to set yourself goals. You're going to have to follow a strategy that's known, proven and trusted. Then grow your property portfolio one property at a time. Of course, you're going to have to buy the right properties as well. As I've explained, ones that have got a level of scarcity, meaning they're going to be in continuous strong demand by owner-occupiers, because they're the ones who push up the values. Also, properties are going to be liked by tenants. You're going to have to buy properties in the right location because location is going to do the heavy lifting. You're going to have to buy it at the right price, properties with a twist. And you know my aim of buying properties to which you can add value. And to be a successful property investor, you're really going to have to surround yourself with a team of independent and unbiased professional advisors, not salespeople. A team who are known, proven and trusted. So it's probably appropriate to remind you that in the changing markets like we've got at the moment, no one can quite help you like the independent team of property investment strategists at Metropole. We've got no properties for sale, but access to every property on the market. And over the years, the team have won multiple awards. And as I said, they've got no properties for sale, so their advice is independent and unbiased. Why not go to metropole.com.au and find out a bit more about what we do and maybe how we could help you. Hope you enjoyed today's show. And if you've enjoyed it, why not pass information about my show on to a couple of friends so that we can help them as well. Now, there was so much in today's show. May I take the liberty of suggesting you listen again, maybe put it on 1.5 times speed to go through it. But there was so much, I believe, gold there, information that I've gleaned from mentoring over 2,000 people over the last decade that I'd love you to get some lessons from it. Thank you so much for being with me, and I look forward to having a chat with you again next week.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of the Michael Yardney podcast, which was brought to you by Metropole, who help their clients grow, protect and pass on their wealth through strategic property advice. If you got value from listening to this podcast, please leave us a review and we'll read it out on a future show. Just go to michaelyardneypodcast.com/review and it will take you over to iTunes where you can enter a review and let us know what you think. We'd really appreciate it. If you don't already subscribe on iTunes or on your Android phone, you'll find us there as Michael Yardney Podcast. If you'd like to gain instant access to the show notes or a transcript of the show, head across to michaelyardneypodcast.com. Watch out for our show next week. You'll learn some new ideas about property investment, success and money in around 20 minutes.